How's the turning circle?
It's good.
Whoa, it's really good. That was great. I'm telling you, for the city, this thing is
like
fantastic.
a carousel ride.
Yeah, merry-go-round. You did that right in front of the police officer.
It's Christmas time. He won't mind. This is 4 guys in the Chevrolet Trax, which sounds more like breakfast cereal than a car.
It's like a Chevy Sonic crossover, right?
Yes.
It's like a Chevy Sonic Outback.
Is Trax a contraction for tracker?
It's funny you say that, because if you read the press material on this thing, they're like, it's GM's first entry into the compact SUV market. And I'm like, does no one remember the Chevy Tracker? I remember it. It's not an Equinox like Matt said, because it's underneath, it's all the greasy bits from the Sonic subcompact.
Oh, okay.
So it's platform, it's suspension, and it's engine, which is the 1.4 liter turbo. So
can you get a slower motor or a worse motor in this?
Well, no, but I mean, that's like in the Sonic, when you drive the Trax, the turbo engine, I think it's because of how the transmission's geared. It's a 6-speed automatic. It's very aggressive in its shifting, and it won't let the motor kind of spool up to high speed. So even though it does make decent power, you never really get like this real rush of power that you would expect from a turbo engine. You can get there if you kind of like pop it into manual and then use these little buttons, but otherwise, this thing starts at roughly just over $18,000 and loaded up with everything, all-wheel drive leather seats, the fancy radio, everything. It's still under 30. So I mean, yeah, you're not getting, BMW quality ride here, but you're also getting a really affordable all-wheel drive vehicle.
But what do you mean under 30?
27-ish. I mean, once you throw tax and stuff on it, it'll probably get to like 32.
That's like the base price of a Hyundai Santa Fe. I mean, you would be getting the base motor, but you're getting a much bigger vehicle as well.
That you don't want big. That's the whole thing about this Trax that I like. It's really small.
Yeah, okay, why not buy a Subaru Impreza? It's cheaper. It's got all-wheel drive. It's a hatchback. It's got more space.
That's a CVT back.
And for a lot of people,
who cares?
But also for a lot of people, there isn't a Subaru dealer near them.
Plus, people buy SUVs because they sit higher than in a car, and that's one of the key reasons SUVs are so fashionable these days.
Okay,
you get a better view.
If you want to waste thousands and thousands of dollars to sit like that much higher, that's fine.
But it's not a waste. I mean, the Trax is a great size for the city. I drove it in San Francisco, and that city is crazy with its traffic, and it was great in that environment. I don't think you don't want to buy this if you live in Saskatoon or Winnipeg, but for urban dwellers who want a little crossover, this is great.
I was driving the Trax a few days ago, and after great trouble and expense of sourcing a Japanese dub CD from the mid-90s, I found to my disappointment that I wasn't able to actually play it in this vehicle because there's no CD slot. And if you're an older buyer or someone who listens to CDs, can you get a CD player in this thing?
No.
This is the first vehicle we've yet encountered that the CD player has been, showing the same door that the 8-track and the tape deck were. If you look at, especially the cargo area, it's relatively small. Could we fit our big stroller in it and all the stuff that comes with the kids? Probably not, at least right now, when we have all that stuff. So for a really young family as the primary vehicle, probably not a good idea. But if your kids are a little bit older, maybe, or as a second vehicle, for sure. And actually, it's funny because my dad has actually been asking me a lot about the Trax because, he's a retired guy and him and my mom like to do road trips and that kind of thing. So he likes the idea of something compact with a really easy ingress and egress to get in and out of the car. And the fact that, it's sort of practical, but it's not as big as an Equinox.
Now, Brad has been avoiding bumps in the Trax.
Yes.
Why have you been avoiding bumps, Brad?
When you drive this car and the road is not super smooth, the dashboard rattles like a box of old nuts and bolts. And I don't mean to be rude, but I think it's funny because Michael and I were talking about this the other day when we first picked the Trax up. It's funny how the Americans still can't seem, and this is not just GM, it's Ford and Chrysler too, they still can't seem to build the initial run of their cars as well as, say, the 500th car off the line. So this Trax, we're guessing, is one of the first on Canadian soil. And most of the car is put together very, very well, but there is a distinct rattle in the dash that kind of drives you a bit nuts, especially driving in Toronto where you're going over railway tracks, the roads are broken, and, hopefully it's something that will be, you probably heard it there, it will be sorted as we, as production goes along.
That's why they call it the Trax, because it's got traction.
Yes.
There you go. I could work in the GM marketing department.